Hi, my name's Charlie King with Heroic Fatherhood, and welcome to your Mentor's Moment. In today's question, a dad asks, we all know that parenting from toxic masculinity stereotypes is bad. That's a lot to say right there. But how do we curb the crying without using classic, quote, be a man cliches? Man, this is such a great question. I feel like we could explore this topic forever. And they're so been down the street of struggling with this. And I think that there are a lot of dads out there that do the same, right? Like we want to make sure that we're mirroring parenting that we can support, and we want to mirror what it takes to get things done. But often the model we got is based on stereotypes that are outdated, or are completely not in line with who we are as modeling as human beings and as parents, as an adults in the world. So we all grew up with these toxic masculinities, be a man, just buck up, like there's no crying in baseball, right? Like that, we all know those stereotypes. But the reality is that growing up is hard. Growing up and not understanding your emotions is hard. Growing up and understanding what it means to have friends is hard. Growing up and seeing changes in your body that you don't understand is hard. Growing up and getting your feelings hurt is hard. And sometimes we feel like crying, and that's okay, right? But there becomes a point at which it's not just expressing emotion, but we're not willing to let it go. So how do we support our kids? How do we support our kids to guide them through this process of being with their emotions, not devaluing the fact that they're having emotions, but at the same time, not letting it become the thing that runs over them and becomes their life? This is such a great topic. The first thing that occurs to me is it's important as all get out to acknowledge the feelings that they're having. It sounds like, it certainly seems like you're upset. What's going on, right? Like getting curious about what's going on with them and asking them to tell you the story, because something has hurt their feelings. Something has really deeply impacted them to their soul for them to express their feelings. And by the way, how great is it that they feel safe enough around you to express all those really vulnerable emotions in front of you? So the first thing to do is get curious and ask them to tell the story. What's going on? What's made you so upset? And then sit with them and let them tell it all. Let them sob through it. Let them give you the whole kit and caboodle. And then acknowledge that those are hard emotions to deal with. It sounds like you're super sad, or it sounds like you got your feelings hurt, or even getting curious is like, what are you feeling right now? And that can be really good, especially for kids who are having a hard time expressing their feelings, is asking them, like, what are you experiencing right now? It seems like you're down, or it seems like you're sad, or it seems like you're angry. Sometimes they don't have the words, right? Sometimes our kids don't have the words to express the feelings that they are experiencing. The next thing to do is to really acknowledge that this is totally normal. Like sometimes this happens. Sometimes our friends hurt our feelings, and it can feel like it puts the friendship into question. Are we still going to be friends? Where do we go from here? All those things are totally normal. So like normalizing their experience of being a kid and having feelings hurt. The next piece is, is there anything to do about your feelings being hurt? Very often there isn't. Very often they just have had a hard day, or they're tired, or they're hungry, or they just had their feelings hurt. And say, give them the opportunity to express that emotion or those sets of emotions, and then just move on. Very often, just the act of us moving on as parents, just the act of us just saying, okay, great, I totally get it that you're upset. I'm so sorry that your friend hurt your feelings. Is there anything you need right now? Or do you just wanted to share that with me? And very often they'll say, I just wanted to say something about it. And that's great. And that's great. Now, sometimes our kids will be impacted by it, and for whatever reason, it will begin to linger. It'll be that thing that sort of runs the show for a while. Like their best friend hurt their feelings, and now they're going to be morose about it, or they're going to be super sad about it excessively long. So it's certainly okay for them to have their feelings, and to have their feelings hurt, or to feel unsure about the future of their friendship and all the things that go along with that. But we also want to frame it up for them that whatever hurt your feelings or whatever made you sad or whatever has upset you doesn't define you. And, at some point we just need to move on because things happen and it won't be the last time that something happens in your life. It probably wasn't the first time. And we all get our feelings hurt from time to time. And invite them to just move on. And then I might suggest don't give it more bandwidth than it deserves, right? Like having a morose kid, sometimes that happens. Have a crying kid, sometimes that happens. But at some point, there's just a time to move on. And it's okay to let them know. It's like, okay, so I got that you're super upset, right? I got that you're super upset. I got that this thing happened, and I'm super sorry about that. But I think it's actually time for us to move on. So it's time to actually stop the crying or stop the wailing or the temper tantrum on the carpet. And it's time to go to your room, or it's time to help me clean up, or it's time to help me make dinner. Why don't you help me make dinner? I find that a distraction is super helpful, giving them something to do with you that's not focusing on the thing that upset them the most. Whether that's, it can be chores. I find the easiest with chores is sweeping the floor, help me, prep for dinner. Can you help me unload the dishwasher? These are all really great strategies for distracting your child from the upset that they have. And lastly, just really as a last case scenario is just saying, okay, enough's enough, right? Like I totally get it, you're upset, but this isn't who you are. This doesn't define you. And there is some upset, but we're going to move on as a family. And if you want to be sad and upset, you can do that, but you need to keep it to yourself. You just need to keep it to yourself. And if you feel like you need to go and scream and yell or whatever, you may go to your room, and you may go to your room and close the door and do it behind the closed door. Because we as a family, or me as an adult, if there's nothing else to say about it and you're just being upset, then we're kind of done. What we have to be super careful of is to not get enrolled in the upset, because it can become like a toxic rolling emotional whirlpool, where we get upset because they're upset, and then they're upset with us because we're upset or we don't understand them, and it becomes this thing. And where they really need us to be is to be the same parent we always are. They need us to be there, to give them a hug, to hold them strong and support them and just say, you're resilient. You can get through this and we'll move forward together, and support them to just let that go. And we need to be the same consistent person we are at home all the time, or as much as we can be, so that they know that that's some great place that they can lean on, but they don't get to take advantage of it as well. Thanks again for such a great question, and keep them coming. These are great questions, and we love answering your questions. And I have a question for you. If you watched this video, how would you have addressed this dad's problem? And remember, we become better men by spending more time with good men. And lastly, this is the Mentor's Moment. This is where we take questions by entrepreneur dads who are looking for advice, a new perspective on something, or a new way of looking at an issue in their life, about work or about parenting or about relationships. My name's Charlie King. I'm with Heroic Fatherhood, and thanks so much.